Well, we are certainly in an unsteady time politically, and the Ontario Liberals are calling on Premier Doug Ford to unequivocally rule out an early election. MPP John Fraser and party leader Bonnie Crombie say Ontario does not need a trip to the polls during these uncertain times. And John Fraser joins us right now to talk more about where your party stands. And thank you for joining us, John.
No, it's my pleasure, Cynthia.
So there has been speculation for months that Doug Ford will call an early election a year, maybe a bit more ahead of schedule. He's still refusing to rule that out. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, right now we're, at the same time, the Premier has said the most important thing right now is stability. And I 100% agree with him. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety for Ontario families. People are worried, they're nervous. And the last thing you need is something that creates uncertainty, which is an election. The Premier has one of the strongest mandates in Ontario's history. He's got 17 months left. He needs to use that to work with not just the federal government, but other parties in the legislature as well, too, people across the border, to make sure that we can protect jobs, protect our way of life, and quite frankly, protect our sovereignty.
Now, I am hearing from people within Queen's Park that he's now leaning not to call an early election. I'm sure you're hearing the same thing. Well,
then he should say that out loud. He should say, because calling an election is clearly in his personal and political interest. He said, I'm going to put my personal political interests aside and put the interests of Ontarians first. All he has to say, it's a simple answer. Because to call an election right now, it would be irresponsible to do that, given the circumstances that we find ourselves in.
Now, your party is asking or calling on Premier Ford to recall the legislature early. It's not going to sit until, what, March 3rd?
March 3rd.
And then establish an all-party committee to discuss the Trump tariff threats. What do you think that would accomplish?
Well, I think the thing is we all need to work together. So that's the reason to bring all the members back together. We should be debating this and should be talking about it, right? It doesn't mean that we have to be there forever doing this. We also have a whole bunch of people who don't have a family doctor, would be another reason to bring it back. But if you're looking specifically at addressing what's in front of us, and the Premier mentioned COVID this morning. When we had COVID, the four party leaders came in and the Premier let them know, here's what we're going to do, here's the plan, here's what we're hearing. Right? And I think we have to do the same kind of thing. So at the very least, he's got to bring people together. He's not doing that right now. It's kind of a one-man show. And it's actually the only way through this is all of us together. And that's the point of this morning. Say no to an election and work together with everyone to ensure that we protect people's jobs, our way of life, our sovereignty.
Now, Premier Doug Ford has appeared regularly on U.S. talk shows, Fox, for example, last night. What do you think about what he is saying and the stance that he's taking? I mean, it seems like he's trying to fill a void. And last night, for example, when challenged by the Fox News host, he said Canada is not for sale. And instead, he suggested that Ontario expand its energy grid so it could sell more energy to the U.S. What are your thoughts on how he's handling this?
First of all, I don't think that we're going to solve this problem through radio interviews or television interviews south of the border.
But do you think, I mean, it's been largely silent on the federal front.
I think the thing is the way that we got this work done, the way that we've got this work done in the past, and we negotiated free trade agreements, is by hard work, working together, not flashy. I was watching the Premier, and at some points the interviews kind of made me cringe, is because, he's trying to be charming, or trying to a bit of a charm offensive. But I wish he'd be a bit stronger, like even last night with that host. I can't remember the host's name on Fox News. It's like I would expect the Premier to be stronger. You can't try to be charming and stand up for Canada, charming in the States and saying you're standing up for Canada here. There's some points where you have to say, no, look, we're not for, we're not laughing, we're not for sale. We're not for sale. Right? It's the way that you say it. When you're being tough, it's hard to be charming at the same time.
It's definitely, he seems to be trying to walk a very tricky line here that would be tough. But do you think somebody should be standing up and speaking? I mean, we haven't heard a whole lot from the federal government on this.
Well, as I said, I think the work that needs to be done is the work that's done quietly, like working with U.S. states across, the states across the border, with cities across the border, with large companies. It's all quiet work that we don't put out there.
But Canadians need somebody to be speaking up.
What I'd like for the Premier to be doing is doing what we're doing right here. I mean, we have television stations here in Ontario. He should be sitting down with you. Right?
Well, we did
Not with
invite
Fox
him.
News. Yeah.
But where is Bonnie Crombie?
Did he come?
No, he did not. But
Okay.
where's Bonnie Crombie? She's the Liberal leader for this party in
You'll
Ontario.
hear lots from Bonnie. I was here today. There's a void that is out there right now in terms of the Premier's response to what we've asked him before. I've actually just re-upped an ask that Bonnie, our leader, made before, actually at the end of December, and again on Monday. So we've been responding to it. It just felt today that it was, time. Items available today. You'll hear more from Bonnie over the next few days and the coming weeks. We've got a lot of things planned. But I thought that it was important, and we believe that it was important, to say the Premier has to unequivocally say, we're not going to have an early election, because that would create uncertainty that we don't need right now, and that we need to work together, all members of the legislature, all parties, to address the threat that's in front of us.
I want to thank you very much for coming down here and joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Cynthia.